This is a complete overview of the systems that Myntra provides. At the top you can see the OCS Hr System, and at the bottom you can see the Training Portal Learning Management System. Let's focus on the OCS Hr systems. OCS Hr has two subsystems. These are self-service, made for the employees so they can access the HR system through an internet solution, and crew on board, which is a vessel's access to the HR system. This part of the system operates without internet access as an offline solution synchronizing with the main OCS database. OCS Hr has 5 main areas of functionality. These are General HR, Complete Competence Management, Recruitment and Pool Management, Complete Crewing and Deployment, and Payroll. All of these functionalities are integrated, which means when you enter information once, that information remains within the OCS Hr system, and you do not need to re-enter anything. This helps save time by allowing information to be instantly accessible to all parts of the organization. OCS Hr also has a number of integrations with banks, training providers, travel agencies, and so on. At the bottom you can see the Training Portal LMS. It's possible to expand OCS Hr systems with a complete on-vessel training element that allows seamless distribution and setup of on-the-job training material and vessel familiarization programs. OCS Hr can be used to set up a pool of candidates applying for positions in your company. Job postings can be created on the company's web page, where candidates for specific positions or external personnel who want to be part of the pool can update their personal information, their mobilization availability, their competence, experience, and so on. All this information is inputted outside the database, and you can then assess and choose personnel for permanent employment or shorter contracts as needed. The recruitment process itself and maintaining the pool of external potential candidates can be managed from self-service by company personnel. You'll have tools to manage the whole process and have an overview of candidates selected for interview, candidates highlighted for follow-up, rejected candidates, and candidates that have been offered a position. Those personnel you want to use as part of the pool or pick for specific positions can then be administrated directly from the main HR part of the system. Documents such as contracts, mobilization letters, and general terms can be issued directly and signed electronically by the candidates. On the screen is the OCS Hr part of the system. This is typically used by the crewing manager for carrying out searches of the candidate database. Here we're doing a specific search for a person with an AB certificate, available for this specific time period. You can also do searches within the database for personnel that have updated their profile recently. Here we see a complete overview of the certificates for this person that is part of the pool. Information about personnel can be found in the different main modules of the system, but it's also gathered in one specific place for easy managing, in the Actions menu for each individual. If you open the personnel card of the individual to focus on, you can quickly generate an employment agreement or utilize any of the other predefined templates. Note, you can add templates into the system and amend specific to your requirements. This is the employment agreement. First, you would have a window like this that you can use to complete more information. Then you can show the report as a template, which can be either printed out or sent directly to the individual for signing. If we stay with this individual, we can open the document section of their profile, which shows a complete overview of all documents that the system has for this person. From the drop-down, we can select appraisals, contracts or certificates, and the system presents all associated information for the individual. This is the Graphical Planner within OCS and is typically the view that the crew planners will use when administering the crew on different vessels. The view can be set up in different ways to suit your needs. In this case, it shows the minimum safe manning requirements of 1 drilling rig and 2 vessels: Boulder, Baltic Driller, and Bolero. Blue areas demonstrate activities. This one, for instance, is typically a 6-month contract for a seafarer. Red areas highlight non-compliance. When reviewing this crew, you can select to view either specific positions or the whole crew. At the bottom of the screen, you will see all available resources. If you see the color red that highlights a non-compliance, you can select position down here and select the position you would like to view. The system will then show all of the second officers in the fleet, or among your resources and resource pools, along with details of what they're doing at this point. White means that the individual has no activities and is available. If they have another color, this means that they have activities allocated. In this case, blue indicates sailing and green indicates the individual has time off. On the Baltic Driller, if you needed to fill the space for an entire crew, pressing the Crew button here will show color codes for crews. In this instance, this color code shows that you need to rotate off crew number 1. This can be done in an optimal and efficient way by selecting the rotation view. Here we have a search for the Baltic Driller and Crew 1, and we can enter the start date of their rotation schedules as well as their work patterns. This can also be changed individually. In addition, their positions and other details we need to fill those positions on the vessel are also shown. After we've finished that, we can select them and press the Generate Standard Schedules button. When we return to the graphical view and press Refresh, we can see that Crew 1 has been rotated off of the vessel. Searching for available personnel can also be done on an individual basis. For instance, if we have to make changes to the schedule, or if someone is unwell, we will right-click on the person and select Search for Available Personnel. The system will show a new view that fills in a suggested search. We can choose to search within the main production database or within the Pool of Candidates database. Press the Search button and you will see all available personnel. We can select the most cost-effective option based on the figures for the day balance for that person and the hours of overtime they have worked. We can also select individuals based on their certificates and training. For example, green means their certification is compliant for the specific vessel or vessel group, and red means they are missing some core training. In this case, this individual needs to do their basic safety training to be able to go on board the vessel. If we want to make changes to numerous personnel at the same time, for example, if the vessel is late to port, we have a complete overview of all the vessels that we are in control of and working on. We can then select the vessel, select the crew on board, and change the dates of the rotation for all personnel at the same time. So, let's say that this vessel hasn't approached the port until the 8th of January. We can easily amend the date and press Enter. The Competence Module of OCS HR is powerful. You can work both with groups of personnel and specific individuals. Let's start with individuals. We've selected a person, and by pressing this button, we can view this person's competence. That is, all of their certificates, course diplomas, qualifications, documents, languages, vaccines, visas, etc., shown against the requirements we have to meet for a specific vessel, role or position. You can see this person is missing their basic safety training. We can deal with this non-compliance directly by right-clicking here and enrolling them onto the required training course directly from the system. The system is integrated with numerous different training providers, so you will see the list of scheduled training and we can select the one that fits this person's schedule. The individual can also select their training directly from self-service if preferred. Potentially, this can dramatically reduce time spent on training management within your organization. For working with groups of personnel, we can open the Status Competence Requirements, select a vessel, and then select to see who is currently on board. Since we have all the activities of all personnel in the system, we can quickly view who is on board, and we can see their compliance for different certificates. We can also enroll them to training courses directly and send them messages asking them to do the training. To do a more specific search that could also help in the pool management process, we can do a search for the role Second Officer and view who in the database has got the Deck Officer Class 1 certificate. We can see one individual with a valid certificate for Deck Officer Class 1. We can then select him and view his activities. We can see he is presently on board the Bolero until the 12th of January, then on leave, as indicated by the green colour. So if we wanted to route him to another assignment, we can do that. This is the Travel Planner window within OCS HR. Here we can do searches for crew changes in the future. We can see all the vessels and the crew change dates, and if we select one of them, for example Baltic Driller, we can see that there will be a crew change on the 21st of January. We can also view the names of the personnel coming on board. From this view, we can select all 6 and request a travel booking through direct integration with relevant travel agencies. Using this view, we can ask the travel agency to organize crew change travel. We can put in any additional information for the travel agent along with their latest arrival date. Then, when we press OK, this will be automatically sent to the travel agency. When the tickets are received electronically from the travel agency, I will see a small T in each person's row, which shows the travel information. We can then send this information to these individuals directly from the system. From this view, we can select all 6 and send a mobilization letter and/or a contract to them. This could also go as an attachment in their self-service, so they can open their self-service to electronically sign their contracts. Let's select Letter of Guarantee and Mobilization Letter. They will also need the salary terms because this is a contract. If we then press OK, this will be communicated by mail and SMS to those individuals and added in their self-service to be signed electronically. This is self-service. It's the web-distributed part of the system that is designed to support ongoing operations and give personnel the information they need in their work. Self-service also means that they can do various updates that also minimize administrative work for crewing, HR, competence and training departments. Here they can see their sailing schedule and personal information. According to GDPR regulations, all personnel must know what information is stored about them in the system. By opening the personal data icon, an individual will be able to view all of the information that has been entered about them. They can also update it, for example if they need to change their next of kin or bank account number. They can review their employment history and they can upload new training diplomas. For instance, you can ask them to do their regulatory medical examinations and upload their certificates directly. For all of these things, you can have a workflow set up in the system so that the crewing department is notified when a person has made a change. Crewing will get an email and they can verify the change before it's actually entered into the system. An individual can view their competence profile and have a complete overview of their competence against different requirements. We can see the same overview that was shown in OCS HR. You can see where this person is compliant, and for any non-compliances they can select this icon to request the relevant training. In addition, you can allow personnel to view a complete overview of all relevant training courses with dates that are available, and they can select the one that best fits their schedule and enroll themselves. This is also possible for e-learning. This can be done together with a workflow, so the training request can go through an approval process before enrollment. By using the activity request icons, personnel can request vacation and periods where they cannot be selected for operations or contracts. They can also report in sick here. They can do their travel expense reports directly into the system, which is then automatically transferred to the payroll system. Finally, individuals can input their time and attendance and record their hours worked on board, also for different customers and projects. In OCS HR, you can set up different kinds of evaluation forms that you want to use within your organization. For example, yearly appraisals or a seafarer evaluation form to be filled out after every contract. Different forms can be made for different groups of employees, and there can be a strict access control to the information. The forms can be customized to fit your needs with descriptions of different items and actions if improvements are needed, along with a grading system. These forms will be stored within the system and can be searched for and found inside the main HR system for future use. Crew on Board is the OCS Onboard module installed on board each vessel. It's fully integrated with the HR system and will send and receive all updates automatically. This is the Crew On list, showing who's on board the vessel, when they signed on, and when they are planned off. If you select an individual, you can see various details, including a competence section, where you can see the different requirement status and their certificates and qualifications. You also have view details about their Siemens book, passport, and visa status. The evaluation section can be used to evaluate or create an appraisal for the individual. You can set up different forms for use in the onboard system. This is just an example of one type of form. Once it's completed and approved, it will be sent to the HR system. You can also sign these forms and add to an individual's competency portfolio. In the accounting section, we have several different accounts. We have the master's cash account, the slop and bonded store, and of course we have payroll. All these accounts are interconnected, so once you register something in one part, it's automatically added to the payroll if the person is part of the payroll. In this case, slap sale, advances, and overtime data is automatically collected from other parts of the system. You can either finalize each individual in payroll, or you can wait until the payroll period is over and finalize the whole period. We can approve this person, then once this is done, everything is locked and sent to shore. In the crewing section, you also have a competence status section where you can see the status for all crew on board or the crew that are about to sign on. This means you have a full overview of both crews and the requirement status. If you want to sign on a new crew, you will find them in the crew off section. These are the planned people or people who have been on board before. You can finalize the planning with details about cabin allocation, etc. Normally, these people are planned from OCS HR from onshore, but you can also plan people on board as well, using the Add Person button and adding their details. If you want to add or sign on a person, you can do it individually or as a group. If we want to sign on the next crew change, we select them, sign them on, and then just confirm the list is correct. They have now been added to the Crew On list. The Crew On list will now contain both on- and off-going crew, and we can sign off the people leaving the crew as easily as signing on the incoming personnel. In this part of the presentation, we will look at variables in OCS, how to create and manage wage scales, CBA management, bank integrations, how to manage payslips, and integration to the account system, Visma. For the variables in OCS, we have a window called Payroll Transaction Import, and in this window we import all transactions that are coming from the vessel's crew on board system and Excel. In this window we can highlight any type of transaction. You will have a long list of transactions here based on the ship or different type of source. In this window you can also verify all the transactions and transfer them to payroll. In this case we have overtime. To find out where the overtime rate is coming from, we can open the window for pay scales. There are two ways to approach pay scales. One is the individual side, what pay scale an individual should have, and then maintenance of the pay scale itself, with its content. Shown on screen now is a pay scale on an individual basis. With a long list of pay scales, there is no limit to how many pay scales you can have in the system. If you want to manage pay scales in the system, you can go to Basic Data and then Pay Scale. Select one of the pay scales, go to Rate Scale, and that's where to manage the content. Select the matrix of rates, and in this case, we would like to change the rates. Let's say they have a pay review, and that pay review confirms they will have 5% salary increase. As you can see, all rates have changed. We can select OK, and it will save the update. You can copy the rate to all the personnel that the pay scale applies to by selecting Copy Rate to Employees. Next, we will go to the person record again and look at bank integrations. We have several banks we are integrated with. If we go into bank account information, you will see how the bank integration is set up for each individual. In this case, you can see the account number, all the information that is related to the bank, for example, SWIFT address. In this case, it's a Norwegian bank, so there's no IBAN, but if there is, it's filled in here. You can also see payment method, which is actually different types of payment integrations to the bank. The most common one is ISO 2022, which is an XML format standard used throughout Europe and in many other places, such as Singapore. We also adjust these files for new banks that will apply. To view a payslip in OCS, go into Payroll here. This is the payroll run for this specific person, and open a payslip report. There are different options for payslip administration. You can email the payslip, or you can save it in the person record, and it will automatically be available in self-service, so individuals can review their own payslips. With regards to integration to accounting systems, we recently had a project with a customer where they wanted to improve the way they could utilize data coming from OCS to Visma in order to more efficiently invoice hours. So what we're doing now is, when we have approved a payroll period like shown on screen, we transfer to accounting. We also have information about clients, so you can quite easily pull that information from Visma, and we can feed Visma with the relevant information so the invoice process is as smooth as possible. Data and information can be retrieved in many ways. Individuals and supervisors can have a separate list of different reports that they can use on a daily basis in their work. In the main OCS HR, there is a separate reports module that can provide numerous predefined reports with advanced queries that can be used to extract the information needed. Most reports can be exported to Excel. List reports can be tailored to meet personnel needs. For instance, this is a person information report where you can select and drag the information you want to be included in the report. Data can also be exported to external report systems, for example, Power BI, and can be combined with data from other systems to provide strategic information for organizational decision-making. On the dashboard of self-service, you can use plugins to show essential information to personnel and operational supervisors. New plugins are added on a regular basis. The dashboard can be tailored for each individual, or they can be set up as standard company-wide. In addition, all menus can be deactivated, so you can choose to show only the most important to make the systems as simple as possible to use. You can activate areas as individuals learn how to use the system and their needs change. In OCS HR, you can make tiles to quick access major functionality. As in self-service, menus can be hidden to simplify the use for different user groups. Within OCS, you can enter specific information about each vessel. This can be general information about the vessel, as its flag, the engines, and its current location. The flag of the vessel will also impact on the Competence Module, as the required certificate endorsements will change when the flag state changes. Information about external companies as suppliers and customers can be entered. You can add quite advanced information as to what type of company and information about accounting and ongoing projects. A budget module is available for budgeting personnel costs on a vessel. There is a lot of functionality within the system for budgeting personnel costs. Port of call can be entered as well as the tax area the vessel will be entering. That can also be entered by the master themselves. These details may also impact the payroll system. Payroll earned in the different geographical tax areas will be registered in the system and can be used for reporting and assessing different pay requirements. There are many ways of using the system to communicate with personnel. Shown on screen is one of them. You can use the system to send email and/or SMSs to individuals. You can also select a group of specific personnel, for instance, managers to a selected group of individuals. We have now finished this brief introduction to Mintra's HR system. We hope we have been able to communicate the advantages of having a complete system for office, vessel and personnel by demonstrating that the way entered information is reused across a system saves a lot of administrative time and increases the quality of data. Data entered by operations will be available for other core activities such as payroll, crew planning and competence management. And your customers will have the advantage of live updates of onboard compliance combined with easy cost approval. Your main resource, your personnel, will have access to important information and be empowered by the possibility to have a direct impact on their work schedule, training requirements, and career planning.